All right, I think we're ready. So, welcome. Just an introduction. My name is Connie Reeves, and I'm from the Milwaukee area, actually Wauwatosa. Nobody knows where Wauwatosa is, so I always say Milwaukee area. We're going to be doing some lace work, and I'm actually doing this as a two-parter kind of thing, but it's just, you really, once you see the one, you're going to be able to do the other. This is based off of a lace pattern that I learned when I went to the sock school, and we did a lace pattern there in our socks. And when I came home, I decided that I was going to use this for ornaments too. And so I kind of adapted it, and then I found out later that there's one that's by Myrna that's called Jenny's Ornament. It's very similar, but it's a little different too in how they're setting up the lace and how they're getting on and off of it. So it's a similar look, but it's not quite the same. So I hope you enjoy it. But what I'm going to do, I've got the cylinder set up. I've got a 60 in here right now, and you look at both of the sheets. You can see the needle pattern that I'm doing here. For the lacework ornaments, depending on the ornament size that you've got, you can. I have been able to go to a 54 and a 64 on those. For the jars, I'm using these mason jars that have the pint size with the regular lid, not the wide mouth. I'll talk about this solar thing in a minute, but otherwise the ornaments themselves, I buy them at Hobby Lobby. They come in a set of 4, and they're just in a little plastic box like this. I always say if you decide to buy them early, because by the time Christmas comes around, they're gone. But I was searching all over town for them. So this is the pattern that we're going to be doing, and I've also done it in colors. I've got all kinds of different colors I've done. I've got some that have got some speckles in them. I've been even selling these year round. I do them in different team colors. So, we're Packer fans up in Wisconsin. They buy Packer stuff all year. So I do Packer ornaments, and like this is our Badger ornament for Wisconsin Badgers. So kind of fun to just play with, even if you don't want to do them just for Christmas. The other thing, if you look on the photos of the ornaments, I've added, I don't have any of them here with me, but I buy Swarovski crystals, and I glue them onto the ornaments. So that's kind of a pretty option too, if you want to add a little sparkle to them. So I have this set up as a 64, a 60 cylinder, and you'll notice that I have one needle in, and then one out, and then the next 3, and then one out, and then another single. So when I talk about that I'm raising needles, I'm raising these single ones. And so if you look at those river, it's a river dial thing, but I use it just for marking the placements. You can see where those single ones are on there to give you that little placement of where all the needles are in the machine. Does that make sense? Yeah? All right, so let me change to my working yarn here. You can experiment with different things. I've even used some metallic yarns and threads. Anything you got around. I can find my end here. All right. So I'm going to start with a long tail. So I just pull out a good chunk of it and then just drop that down in. And I'm going to start out with by cranking 5 rows. So that's the same for both the jar and the ornament. And I'm going to stop at 6. I'm going to take the single needles. I'm going to raise them up. I'm going to crank to 12, raise the single needles on the other half, and then crank 3 rows. And I'm going to stop at 6. And what I'm looking for here is that there are 3 strands of thread that are hiding behind the needle. I don't know if you can see that really well. but there's 3 strands hiding behind the needle here. And that tells me I've got my 3 cranks. Then I'm going to lower them down, making sure I don't lower them all the way. Otherwise they won't get bound together. Crank to 12. Lower the other half. And back to here. And I can raise them up again. So you can see, I call them the little bow ties. I'm raising them, going to 12, raising the back half, going to 6, and all the way around 3 times. Then I can lower. Go to 12, lower the front half, or excuse me, the back half here. Back to here. Now I can raise them again. And 3 times. Lower that half. 12. Lower the other half. That one that's sticking there. All right. Come back around, lowering or raising them up again. So once you kind of get into the repetition of it, it's pretty easy. Bring it around, raise them up again. And you can see these little bow ties are collecting now. So right now we've done 4 repetitions, depending on which design I'm doing. It's going to just determine how many I'm doing. And raise them up again. Three times. So how many we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be the 6th one. I'm going to do a jar here, so we'll go a few more here. Any questions while I'm doing it? It's kind of mesmerizing. But it's a nice, easy pattern, even if, if you're not real comfortable with your machine yet, it's a nice, easy one to play with. I do find that if you drop a needle on this one, it's best to just start over. It's hard to pick it back up. All right, let's see how many we have here now. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is my 8th one. So if I'm doing a jar, that's going to finish it up. Now I showed a friend of mine this pattern, and she does the jars. She actually was the one that came up with the idea of putting them on the jars, and she only cranks 5 rows when she finishes. So she does the 5 to start, 5 to end. I went to 12 because I felt like it was really kind of pulling on the jar a little bit. Play with it a little bit, find out what feels best for you. So I've got those tied. I'm going to go 12. We are. Snip this.
I'll have to check on the internet, sorry.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to leave a long tail on this. So I normally leave a long tail. And that one is done. So if I forget to leave a long tail, then I'll just add it back in later. But that's basically what you're going to end up with, is this little tube with this, kind of looks like a very strange little shrunken lace pattern on it. So let me grab one of these here. This one, so this is the same thing. To gather it up, I'm going to grab my needle here, if I can find it. And I'm going to take one of those long tails. Now everybody has a little different way of doing this. My friend, she likes to go from the inside on that pearl bump. I like to flip it to the other side, so I just find a way to kind of go through where I'm not going to drop a stitch. Come back to the front, and then I'm going to just start picking up, if I can find it there. Pick that one up. Then I usually just pick up the right leaning leg. You see that? I'm just going to go all the way around, picking up that right leg. And I don't worry too much if I catch the waste yarn, because that's going to pull out later anyways. I do find that if I'm working with white, I try to work with a pink for the waste yarn, or a light, something really light. I did it one time with the orange, and the orange kind of carried through on the white. So I find that if I have the pink, it doesn't show quite as much. But if you look at some of these, you may see a little remnant of the orange on them. Most people probably won't notice it, but I did. So I'm just catching that right leaning leg of the knitting as I go around. And usually when I make these, I just make a huge long tube of them. Make a whole bunch of them, and then this is my project to sit on the couch and work on. And I usually will go a few extra beyond that first where I started, just in case. And from there I can take all of this off. Maybe. Look at this. I catch one, I just trim that little catch there. Take it away. So then this is going to be what's going to gather around on the jar. I have one here that's done. So this is just a regular mason jar. I've got a whole bunch of them in my basement that I've been using for canning and such. You could do this without the hanger and everything. These lids that I've got, I found on Amazon. It's a solar lid, solar and battery powered actually. So it's actually got a little battery compartment in the bottom, and it has an on-off switch. And then I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but oops, if you're able to see it in the dark, but there you can see the lights. These are available on Amazon, and it came with the hanger for the jar. You can get them without the hangers also. It's got these cute little fairy jars, fairy lights, that you can put down in there. And these are nice. They actually are really quite bright. I was surprised I had them. The battery's a solar charged, so it's got a little solar panel on the top of it. And so when it's dark, it'll go on, and if it's not, it'll go off. And you can leave it in your window, and it'll charge overnight. So I've got one here that I've got all gathered up. So as I said with the jars, I tend to go 12 on the bottom, so you can see that it's got a little further, more knitting on the bottom. So I just slide it onto the jar. Grab my bottom one, pull it shut. Lost my needle here somewhere. Wherever it went. Somewhere. Let me grab another one. I just gathered that shut, just pulls shut, and then I just do a few stitches to kind of close up that bottom. You see that okay? Here, I'll come over here. And I just tie it off. Kind of bury that thread in there somewhere. Then on the top, same idea. Sometimes I'll put these on before I've got the lids and everything on, but just cinch it tight. Catch a few of those. And then I'll run it again underneath. And there's the jar. So when it's all lit up, you can kind of. I have also found, I just found these at Christmas time, just before Christmas last year. These are balls that light up. I I found these from, there's a company called Lakeside Collection. It's a kind of one of those, they have everything in their catalog type of websites. I can put a sleeve on it here. You can see what it looks like. These are really pretty. They come in white and they come in multicolor. The multicolor actually changes colors. So it goes between a blue, a red, and a green. And if I should, these when I do the ornaments, I generally will close one end first, just because it's easier. So I'll pull that shut first. I found the ones through Lakeside Collection just before Christmas last year, and everything was like everything. Shipping was bad, right? And they didn't, stock was bad. And then they canceled my order. And then right after Christmas, they finally got them back in stock. So I ordered a whole bunch of them for Christmas this year. But they're really pretty. Oh, I should say that the colored ones, they alternate between green, red, and blue. And then they also flash. So it'll kind of go between the different colors. The white ones just stay solid. So they just, once they're lit, they're lit. And get this one down here. So I just turn it inside out, tie that a little bit. Pretty much the same idea. This one I just closed it before I put it on. Cinch it up.
Oh, wow.
Catch a few threads. Isn't that pretty?
You know what years ago, I crocheted something like this around the wall, and my brother used them as favors for his wedding.
Yeah.
So we ordered ribbons with their names on it and the date, and then tied it around the top, put a couple of flowers on the top to hide the stuff.
Yeah. If any of you know Jenny Gibson, Jenny is the one I showed these ornaments to, and
that's really nice.
She's got a wedding coming up in their family, and she's making the jars, and she's doing them all in the colors for the wedding.
Oh, wow.
So she just texted me earlier today and said she's got 15 left to go.
Can I take a picture of that while you're doing that?
Yes, absolutely.
What tension do you use?
You know, I've found that
gorgeous.
I keep it pretty much at the same tension
I don't want to get in your video.
that I do for a sock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's really
So
pretty. That
these
is
little
really
ornaments just twist on and off. So they're kind of nice. I think they sell, we looked it up earlier. Do you remember what they were?
$10.
I think they were like $10 for a set of 4. When they came up in February, because I'd ordered them just before Christmas. So be savvy when you order them. When I ordered them for Christmas, they were about that. And then they came in finally in like January or February, and they were about 1/3 the price. I ordered a ton. I ordered a huge box of them. They're in my spare bedroom right now, but I'm like, I'm not gonna pass up that price. But aren't they pretty? So between that and these little jars, they're really neat. So, any questions? It's pretty easy and it makes a nice little ornament.
It goes so fast.
They go really fast, actually, yeah. So when they initially asked about doing the ornaments, I said, I'll do the jars at the same time because it's the same pattern. You really could adapt it to about anything and, you know, anything that you want to cover with it, but it makes a really pretty little design. You'll notice between the different cylinders that you have to change how many needles are in between. So this has only got 3 needles in between versus like the 64. When I do that, I have 5 needles in between. So it doesn't look quite as lacy. So I actually prefer to go a little bit more into the 54 or 60 cylinder, just so it has that, you can see more of that lace then versus going to the bigger cylinder.
Have you done it with lace making?
I have.
Is it really?
Yeah, and then it really gets even more so, yeah. I have even used crochet cotton that I've had. So
But this is fingering.
this is this is the same as the active white that I'm using. But if you look at some of these, you'll see like this one's got some little gold threads in it. I found this. There's a gal that goes by Blue Barn Fiber. You can find her on Etsy or on her website. She sells this. This one's got gold in it. I've got another that's got silver. I don't think that one's down up here yet. I think that one's still downstairs. Those are really pretty. This is actually an iridescent ball in it, so you can see how the iridescent looks. This one also is from Blue Barn Fiber. I had her dye just a little red and green speckle on it, but they look really pretty even in colors. You know, it's a great way to use up extra yarn that you have sitting around that you want to do something different.
We have none, right?
Yeah, of course not. So,
Have you figured how much yarn by weight or?
I don't know. We could weigh one. I mean, this is one right here. Figure out what it is, and it's not much, you know. And it's because of the lace, you're not using very much at all. So it's pretty easy to do, and it's a nice little. They go really fast. I usually just crank up a whole long tube of them, and then I just sit on the couch and gather them all up, and then pile them up like this, and then when I'm ready to put them on balls, I put them on balls or whatever I'm
Do you
doing.
put waste on in between them?
Yeah. So usually you'll see like this, and then I'll have the next one. And
Yeah.
if I get bored, I'll put different colors in. And they're really pretty too. You don't necessarily have to get Swarovski crystals, but if you got some sort of little bright crystals or something, you could easily glue them on there. They look really pretty.
It'd be pretty easy to put them on as you go, though.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. If you look on, I think it's on the Jenny's ornament. Somewhere, it's on the internet somewhere. I've seen it that they're adding beads into it. I haven't tried doing it with the beads.
Myron Ness has it on.
Yeah, Myron's got it. I haven't attempted that, but you could easily do that. Or if you just got flat back rhinestones, glue them on. I use, when I'm gluing on the rhinestones, I use E6000 glue. Just a little dot, glue them on, and they look really beautiful. Other questions?
Very nice.
Come on up and take a look at them if you'd like.
There's questions online.
Oh, yes.
You could read them from there.
All right. I think she's asking if they're gonna have the pattern online, and I
Yeah.
believe that Erlbacher is gonna be posting them up online. I've given them all the handouts. There's 2 handouts. There's one for the lace jars and one for the lace ornaments. So they'll get, if they're not up there now, they should be shortly. Is there any other questions?
That's the same question.
Okay, same question. So, any other questions?
No,
All right, thank you. Come on up and take a look at them if you'd like.
Can I take another picture on the chair so I
Yes,
have black background?
absolutely.
They're really
Aren't they
beautiful.
pretty?
I want the lighted one.